Hey everyone, this is Justin Payton from the Wrap Institute, and welcome to the next round of the Never Stop Learning Contest. And I don't know if you can guess, but we're going to be wrapping a back bumper. Super cool, and a lot of requests on how to wrap bumpers. So you're going to pick up a lot of good tips and tricks in this one. And if you guess how long it takes this bumper to get wrapped, you win this week's awesome prize. And this is what it is. Super cool. So based on that, this round is sponsored by Arlon, and Arlon has a new full print film that's coming on the market, SLX Plus. So the idea behind it has a little more tack, works better in cold climates, and you know, as much as I know about the material, because I just made the product video for them, you know who knows better than that is Ritchie Day. So Ritchie came to Munich, and thank you for being here with us today.
Justin, it's been a pleasure.
And we made the video, which is super cool, and your role at Arlon is?
Technical Solutions Manager. Just call me the tech guy.
Okay, so Ritchie's the tech guy. So the idea behind this is we made the product video, which was awesome. You came over from Canada to be at the center in Munich. But then while we were making the video, I said, you know, we got this contest. Do you want to be part of it? And you said,
of course.
Of course, why not? So I'm super excited to be here. It's a big honor to have you helping out. And so
honor's all mine.
Awesome stuff. So the idea is that Ritchie and I are going to team up, wrap this bumper, get it done. And if you guess the time of how long it takes us to wrap this bumper, you win the prize, which is going to be awesome. And as we go in, Ritchie's a great trainer, knows his stuff. So again, for me, you're going to get double the info, double the tips and tricks, which is awesome stuff. So that being said, everything we do on the Wrap Institute is talking about prep, install, post. And as you know, with tech and stuff like that, a lot of problems go wrong if you don't get your prep right.
That's right.
It goes south.
No doubt.
So, you know, you help prep this. So the idea was right now is, you know, also knowing how far to take the material, how far not to take it, especially on bumpers, is this is a full print wrap. It's not color change wrap. So you have to make that distinction where, you know, we put knifeless tape on the top side here because taking the material higher here is risky. And in full print film, you don't have to take that risk.
Right.
Ritchie put knifeless tape right here because the lights are going to go here if this was an actual bumper. So why take all the material here and spend that time and maybe overstretch it and also just kind of that's extra labor time when you can cut it here and it looks the same. And then Ritchie, you put, how far did you put knifeless tape down here?
I just went about a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch under. But when it comes to the back, about 1/4 of an inch.
Nice. So that's just, you know, taking it far enough where you get the visual.
It's a visual.
But again, the farther you take the material, the farther the closer you get to overstretching. So you kind of want to find that balance, especially on a bumper. So
absolutely.
That's the prep phase. We obviously cleaned it with, you know, a degreaser, make sure it's going to stick really good. And again, for commercial, we're not going to do an inlay or overlay here. We're going to kind of leave a negative space right there.
Exactly.
Because with commercials, you can get away with that. So again, that's we're not being lazy.
No.
Maybe Ritchie is. Maybe Ritchie.
We'll see.
We'll see. But the whole idea is, you know, having a good idea and a game plan before you go in, and then you can kind of get that quality and speed, which is definitely the name of the game.
Got to be prepared.
Got to be prepared. So again, on the line is that prize from Arlon, which is awesome. We have our timer here right now. And I think, Ritchie, are you ready?
I think I'm ready to go.
Got our tools. Okay. So I'm going to hit the clock, and good luck, everyone. And cool. I'm going to set it down here. So that being said, we got the material here. And notice what we did in prep right now is this graphic, okay, is a really cool design and is symmetrical on both sides. So on the cutting table, when I trimmed it down, I creased it. So now this is the center point and left the white trim at the top. This is a good tool because now Ritchie and I are going to kind of hold it out and just make sure that we're kind of in the right spot and make sure this crease is kind of lining up with the center point on the bumper. We're good. Make sure we have enough top and bottom. You always want to make sure the panel fits before you go live. I feel good here. Feel good here.
Yep.
And now we're going to take advantage of the SLX adhesive, and we're going to go cowboy right now, and we're going to take the entire backing paper off. So this is
we are. And actually, this is one of the real benefits to SLX Plus, how easily that comes off. So we're not having to fight each other. We're not fighting a lot of static either. So it makes it a little bit easier for a graphic this size.
Absolutely. So again, you guys, when did you guys come out with SLX?
So SLX was 3 years ago.
Okay.
And now, latest innovation, SLX Plus.
Cool. So the idea right now is we kind of found the center point, and Ritchie and I are just going to come together and say, right now I got about a ½ inch.
Yeah, I've got about, I'd say 3.
Okay. So you're actually good there. I'm actually going to pick my side up a little, and then we're good to here. So now I get closer to 3. Yep. You get closer to 3. And I think we're pretty, you know, in a graphic, it doesn't have to be super, super symmetrical, but it has to be close enough.
Right.
So now that we have it roughly where we need it to go, I'm going to make a little lock in right here. So this is our jumping off point. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the material around. So now you have 2 people. Do you want to be in the middle or do you want to be on the end? It's up to you.
Well, we can try both ways.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
I'll start off back here. If you want to be in the middle now. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch it around and get it just nice and glassy. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. So I'm kind of
just going to anchor this, the part that's not going to be stretched at all. And just before we actually go into the deep part of the stretch, just give that a quick shot of heat and set that in place.
Nice.
Flake technology, that adhesive right now is already starting to wet out and have it get closer to its ultimate bond.
Super cool. So now the goal right now is just to stretch it around here and get it nice and relaxed. So by heating it, kind of softens it, which is really cool. And then we're going to stretch it around. So here, I'm just going to take it, pull, just kind of glass it out, come down here. And what I like to do personally is I like to kind of lock it and swing it around the underside here, and then swing it on the back here. So just kind of, I'm gently pulling while we go.
Just put a little bit of tension here.
Yeah, and just kind of glassing out right to there. Cool. So what I personally like to do is lock it in here. Because once we have this set now, this part will be easy because now I can kind of hold it here. And what this material has is PVC, has memory, so if we kiss it with heat right now, it actually kind of shrinks and then spreads out right under there. Cool. So this is good for now, where I feel like this section's good, but we have some wrinkles up here, which is actually okay. So now we're going to heat it. We're going to stretch it up to this top section here. So we got it nice and kind of warming the film just enough where I'm stretching to the corner a little bit, glassing out, hooking this back corner, and then we'll do the same thing at the top right to here, and stretching. Cool. I personally like to lock it in to hold it now that we have what's called glass, which is cool. And then we have this right here, which you think is a problem, but on this particular section, Richie, you know a lot about tension. You have a good technique that you're known for. It's what's called the pocket technique, where now we're actually going to take this material, these wrinkles, and actually a technique I call feed the mouth. So if we give it a kiss of heat now, we can actually pull it your direction, and it'll actually kind of shrink in. I'll pull it right into this section here, which glasses it out nice and clean. So now all the wrinkles that were here are actually, if you let go, Richie, watch what happens. All those wrinkles are right there. So this section that normally pops out because it has too much stress, actually we just fed it material, which is kind of cool. So how about you on the back end, and
sure.
I'll switch. So what's nice about wrapping, this is what I call a yo-yo moment, because once we get this glassed out, what's going to happen now is, once we get this glassed out, and what I call it glasses, this has like a reflective kind of sheen to it, because this is gloss lamination. And once it doesn't have wrinkles, it kind of looks like glass. Super cool. So again, knowing your material, SLX, Richie's a trainer, he knows this stuff. You squeegee it, give it a kiss of heat so it really sets on the car so it doesn't pop off. Cool. Because again, the benefits of SLX are what? SLX Plus especially.
So SLX Plus, first of all, low contact. So if you do set it, even as we're doing this right now, if we do set that with heat, you still have every option. You set it with your squeegee, you have every option to come back and pop it back up. And the adhesive is actually a matte finish, which means it has millions of little points, which make very little bit of contact.
So, because again, some manufacturers put actually physical structures on the adhesive to keep it from touching. And then what you guys changed a couple of years ago is you actually made the adhesive less tackier based on the adhesive, correct?
Yeah, so it's actually making less contact because the contact points are smaller. But because those contact points are smaller, they also wet out much faster.
Interesting.
So you get to your ultimate bond faster.
So I'm actually going to pull some of this material back over here.
Oh yeah?
So again, a lot of the stuff we try to do on the Wrap Institute is what's called reading wrinkles. It's kind of like people. Sometimes you know when someone's pissed, okay? and how you know when the material's pissed is with wrinkles. So when we had the material to here, I noticed that there was too much material here.
Got it.
So then we picked it up, we repositioned it, but we can pick it up again based on the adhesive, which is really interesting.
Very easy.
And it's almost like, especially if you're a rapper and you're watching this video, if you do color change especially, if you're trying to, like, let's say you're trying to do overlaps or you're trying to do stretch material for, you're trying to put overlaps on a matte film, or you're trying to put stripes on that, those type of films, satin, matte, all that kind of stuff. Is what happens is, if you try to put a stripe on matte, what happens?
It doesn't want to stick.
It doesn't want to stick because the surface energy of matte is low. So in a way, you guys kind of took that.
That's exactly what we've done with adhesive.
Right. So you guys did that on the adhesive, is you made the adhesive kind of matte, and what that did is it. Yeah.
You get that.
Get a little kiss of heat right there. Yep. Cool. Okay. So it's interesting. What Arlan did is they basically thought of the matte. You know, I don't know if that was your logic, but basically by making the adhesive matte, it's the same logic. So it slides, and then when you get a kiss of heat, or if you've worked with matte film, if you gloss it, matte film, or if you put too much heat on matte film, it glosses.
That's right.
That's actually kind of
And
good.
adhesive actually, it happens faster because adhesive is so much softer than the face stock, right?
Really interesting.
Yeah, so
this is our yo-yo moment. So Richie and
All right.
I kind of glassed it out, and now I'll kind of start cooking right now. And so I'm gonna kind of focus here on the center. Richie's got his heat gun, and what's nice about this particular one is we got the bumper on a stand, in this case. But normally if this bumper was on the car, it's nice to have the bumper kind of high. It's not great to work on the ground because obviously it would be getting dirty. And what's not great about that as well is you get close to, not only are you getting dirty because you're sitting on the ground, but also that dirt from the ground might pop up underneath the film, which is not great. So we worked the material at the side, and look how easy it is now to bring the material in the middle. Now we're good to go. So then I'm just gonna start kind of rocking and rolling. So I got the material here, and now what I wanna do is I wanna hit the recessed areas first. So I take the material down to here, swing it down, and I'm working the material right to here. Got a little wrinkle right there. So I'm gonna see if I can take this out with my finger. Awesome, I can do that. So what's nice about the material today is your finger is actually a really good squeegee, that if it kind of gets some little baby kind of wrinkles right there, you can work it out. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to take this material here, but actually shut off right there. So here I'm going to take this back to the license plate. So where I'm going to take this air out is underneath right here. So I can easily pick it up right to there, give it a kiss of heat, and then I can squeegee this down nice and easy. So all the air is now going out towards the bottom side right here. So again, I can pick it up because of that technology of the adhesive. I've got a little bubble right here. I'm going to pick it just to get the air out right there. Cool. Because I picked up the material, I might have stretched it a little bit. So give it a kiss of heat, relax it. Once it relaxes now, I pull to the corner and then squeegee back down. Cool, all right? I see some tension here at the bottom, so I give it a kiss of heat, trigger the memory, wait for it to cool, and then I shimmy it down. And so when I pull now and I give it a kiss of heat, I'm actually not pulling very hard. That's kind of the trick right now when you wrap bumpers especially, is right here there's some tension. I give it some heat, which softens it. I wait a couple seconds for it to cool, and then I just gently spread it down. Because the idea right now is when you wrap a bumper, you're definitely going to stretch the material. And if you overstretch it, it's not good, because if you overstretch the material, it fails over time. And Richie, you know, he's going to help us with an event this year, and we're going to talk a lot about adhesives. And your adhesive on this material, Richie, is super strong, correct? Richie, when this material, like over time, after 24 hours, this sticks really good, right?
it does. It actually gets up to around a 7-pound bond.
Okay.
So there's a big difference between initial tack and final bond, and you know the kind of the balance that we as vinyl manufacturers try to find.
Yeah.
Is let's get it nice and easy to work with, but we still want to make sure everyone has confidence in how it sits on the vehicle for the duration of the time it needs to be there. So it's service life.
A balance.
And with SLX Plus, I think we've got a really nice balance.
So, and speaking of that, again, what's nice about the Wrap Institute, and what we've been lucky enough to do is, you know, make a lot of videos for the manufacturers. Like again, we just made the official product video for SLX, which is SLX Plus, which is great. And the idea is that we get to really know the film. And with every manufacturer, they have different limits of what the film can and cannot do. But there's definitely rules of thumb where you want to say, some manufacturers say the material can stretch X amount of percent, others can say it could stretch more. So you really want to make sure that you understand the film, because if this was calendar film, how would you feel about us wrapping this bumper right now, Richie?
Not as comfortable.
Because again, the material has different stretch points.
Without a doubt.
So I'm going to take the material right into here. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to feed this recessed area right now, and really work the material into this mouth area here. I see some tension. So, you know, for me, Richie, you know, at the Wrap Institute, I always try to say, take the material, you know, try to keep the material under 10% stretch, and if you do, you're in good shape. How do you feel about stretch and how far to take the material? What is your opinion on that?
So 10% is very safe. And when you're thinking about stretching material, you have to also remember you're stretching adhesive, right? So
exactly.
The face stock can handle a lot of tension. It can handle a lot of stress. Cast, it's never been stressed in its process.
Right.
So it has lots to give. But you have to remember that there has to be enough adhesive there to get you through 7 years.
Exactly.
So 10% is really good. We definitely can go higher than 10% and still be successful. But always try to find ways not to have stress if you can.
Because that's kind of what I was talking about adhesive earlier, and that's kind of where I backtrack to this in sense, is that, you know, the idea is that the adhesive today, you know, SLX Plus especially, or even SLX, you might think, oh, it's not going to stick. But then we're going to show you at the end that it actually does wet out pretty quick and gets a very high bond. But that being said, you know, you always want to make sure, especially on a bumper, is to, you know, find that sweet spot. Because the adhesive is made to hold for the long term, which is great. But then if you overstretch the film, this film has memory and it wants to shrink. So the more tension you put on the film, the riskier it is for the adhesive to hold for the long term. So it's again finding that sweet spot with the material today. So now that we're basically on right now, okay, I'm just gonna double check for bubbles here, okay, and you can see what Richie's doing now is he's kind of focusing on that top section. And now that we're here, we've got everything set, I'm gonna run my finger, double check this area here, it's looking pretty good. We're formed in here, double check this, awesome. I'm gonna start taking the material down here. Notice I have my glove on. I'm kissing the material with heat right now. And this top section has a lot of material, but that's actually a good thing because I'm gonna jump in front of Marcos, our awesome cameraman, and I'm gonna pick the material up right to here, and I'm actually gonna feed it into here. But I'm actually not gonna have to use a lot of heat. The only reason I use heat right there is just to kind of relax it, because Richie and I fed this area, okay, so this area you wanna feed. The corners you wanna work away from. But this particular area, nice and easy and straightforward, where if you actually bring material in here, you can actually take the material super far into this area and there's no stress. And this is when the adhesive is going to hold really well for the long term. So once that's set now, okay, so I'm going to wait for, you know, and what's nice about working on a bumper with two people is you can kind of find the balance. So I know that Richie's kind of doing his thing and there's always something to do. So I kiss it with heat to relax it, take the material, smooth it off right here, and again, taking it right to the knifeless tape. Don't need to take any farther than that. So once that's set now, watch what I do. I'm going to relax all the edges, get everything set all the way up to here. So this is looking good, and I feel like I can start cutting stuff off, which is awesome. So you always want to relax before you cut. Bam. So once that's set now, I'm going to double check this section here. So I run my finger, set on the edge, and then once that's set now, take my knife right into the gap right now. I'm running right down to the edge. I know that I have knifeless tape set up right here, so I'm going to kind of pick the material up nice and high, cut this away, and always want to come back and seal the deal. Cool. Now that this section's done, I like to work in stages. So I get the material right through here, double check that it's on the knifeless tape. So don't see it's quite there, so I'm going to give it a kiss of heat. Cool. Knock it down into there. Once that's set now, I can peel the knifeless tape right to there. And done. So for me personally, I like to work in stages. It gives me a nice good focus. Right down here. And you know, now that I'm here on the underside, Richie, do I need to add edge seal tape or are you good?
No, we don't. The any of our products that are flight technology, they wet out really fast and there isn't a really deep air egress channel. So we're not as concerned about contaminants getting back up underneath the adhesive.
Cool. So again, every manufacturer has different recommendations for that. So again, you know, for me, what I try to do, and you know, with bumpers and everything, is I try to make sure that I follow the manufacturer's recommendations. So I don't want to do any more or less, which is cool. So now I have this section here, and double check. So I got the knifeless tape set up here. And again, just kind of doing that flow, getting everything set. And again, what's nice is, again, working with someone, is at this point, I know Richie's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing here. I got a nice, good straight edge here. We're using good tools. The work environment is really nice in here.
Yeah, no doubt.
And again, we're at the Rapid Suit Center, so we have really good light, really good temperature, because we really set this facility up super, super nice, not only just for filming, but for installing as well. So now we got this set up, and again, just kind of getting that nice flow. Once we have that set here now, I'm going to come and do this section here. So now, why don't you come check this out, Marcos? Is I got the material right to here, but oftentimes right here at this point, you always get that wrinkle. I never really like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up, give it a kiss of heat, wait a few seconds, and I'm just going to give it a shimmy now. And then I'm actually going to pull that material just past the knifeless tape and I have no tension. So I always give it a kiss of heat. I let the material collapse farther back, and then we're good to go. So once that's set now, I'm gonna run my finger to the knifeless tape. Now what's nice about using knifeless tape, obviously, is all the sections that were kind of really directly cutting on the paint, using this product to kind of relax, kind of keep the blade from touching the paint whenever possible, especially with commercial graphics. You know, you're going to cut it short here, so we save time, but definitely don't want to cut the paint. So once that's set now, okay, we're going to focus here at the top. So now, again, yo-yo moment. Here, we don't need all this material, so I'm going to take the knife and cut it back right to there. Definitely don't want to cut Ritchie, so I stop. So once that...
Thank you, Justin.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
So give it a kiss high. Heat it. So again, what's nice about this, you know, knowing the properties of the material is right there. I knew that if I gave it a kiss of heat, it would relax. And then once it's relaxed now, I can take it right to the edge. And again, don't have to take it any farther. You can see all the tension that's building up on that section that goes up. But again, because Ritchie and I know that, we're doing commercial wraps, we don't have to wrap all the way there. I can give it a kiss of heat. And notice that what Ritchie and I did first is we did the kind of the trickier sections here and here first, and then doing the middle section last. And the reason why we're doing the middle section last is the middle section is easy. Just a little kiss of heat, shift that tension away, feed it right into that groove. And then here, if you've been wrapping it all, sometimes with white material is a little stiff always at the edge. So again, give it a kiss of heat to relax it, wait for it to cool just for a few seconds, and then shift that tension out in that triangle technique that the Wrap and Stew is really known for. So again, using the shape of a triangle to shift that tension to the edge evenly, avoids any type of wrinkles. So now here, take this material back to the edge. Now once this is set now, I want to feed it right into the knifeless tape, and I'm going to pull the knifeless tape right here. So set it. Again, this is a direct cut on the body, so always want to avoid that. Come all the way across right to here. Cool. Cut off the back. Pull this excess off, and good to go. So now we're getting really close to kind of finishing off here. So I'm going to come back to here, pull the knifeless tape out, pull the knifeless tape out right here at the top. So always with knifeless tape, and I don't know if Ritchie, I don't know if you've ever had this, but I've definitely gone to dinner a few times with knifeless tape hanging off my pants.
No doubt.
Because it always, those strings get everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. So now that this side is done, again, Ritchie's kind of focused down there, I'm gonna kind of do the license plate area now. So this is always really critical to get right, in the sense that I'm gonna bring the material as far as I can into this area, but don't want to take it too close. Because again, Ritchie, if I took the material and jammed it all the way into this license plate area in one piece,
it may pop up.
I think it'll definitely pop up. Yeah. So here, this is what I'm going to do is make a relief cut. So I give it a kiss of heat. And then, again, I'm just always looking to kind of minimize that tension before going super deep into a tricky area. So once that's set, again, always check for bubbles before you cut. And the reason why I like to check for bubbles before cutting is it's just super safe in the sense that you want to get those bubbles away, because if you don't get those bubbles away before you cut, you might be stuck with giant bubbles, which is not great. So once this is set now, I'm coming in for another cut. So always click before you cut. Run my finger on the edge, and here I'm actually going to kind of make the cut right here where the bumper sensor is. I'm going to cut just past there. And before the video started, what Ritchie and I did is we took some sample pieces, and we've never wrapped this bumper before, so it's always good to take some sample pieces and try out. So for me, I tried this license plate area. Where did you try out, Ritchie?
I actually wanted to see how it was going to stretch around that corner.
Okay. So again, how long did it take you to take the material and stretch it around the corner?
Couple seconds.
Couple seconds. Okay, yep. So we spent a couple seconds.
Well worth time spent.
Yeah, so based on that, I guess why don't we come into common mistakes. So you've been a trainer for a long time, and you make a lot of the videos for Arlon, the Rapid Right, and stuff like that. And you're making those videos because they're fun?
Or making those videos because we want to make sure that people have success with our film.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And so again, it's just knowing the film and what it can and cannot do. But again, in those videos... But
there's another thing.
Yeah.
Best practices.
Yeah.
And that's really important as well, because every material is going to have a slightly different, possibly have slightly different best practices.
Well, I mean, it's funny, you know, we've been hanging out for a few days and Richie's been here and you came over for, you're Canadian.
Yep.
And I'm American. And Marcos, who's filming, is Brazilian/German. And Reiner's German, and Reiner works for the Rap Institute. He's the head trainer here in Munich. And so it's, you know, we all come from different countries and we all know how to rap, but we all have probably different styles because, you know. That's right. But we're also, you know, from different countries. So you're Canadian, Richie, and means you're nice and you like Tim Hortons, which is weird.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. But the idea, though, is, you know, you have your kind of personality, and I think wrapping materials is no different, you know, and with the Rap Institute, we try to work with a lot of different brands. And, you know, that's one of the things we try to emphasize on the Rap Institute is we don't wrap every brand exactly the same. You really want to dial in your brand. So for me right now, I'm dialing this particular material in, and then once you know this material, it's like anything. It's like, if I know what Richie's like as a Canadian, I know.
Get him with Tim Hortons.
Get him with Tim Hortons. He'll smile. Don't say, oh, I got it better. Don't say anything bad about Tim Hortons.
Better still.
Better still. So, that being said, cool. Now, as I take this material in, again, there's that tension. I see the tension. Give it a kiss of heat. And I'm gonna just relax it right up to here. So again, your job as an installer, especially on a bumper, especially on finishing right now, is to really read that tension and then make micro adjustments, because you definitely don't want that tension to build up. And how you get that tension away is kisses of heat. Again, for me, I like to put a little Justin juice on my squeegee. And I don't know if you know about Justin juice, Richie, but it's really a good product. Makes your squeegee glide. Cool, so once I get that in there, everything's good, awesome. And then once that's set now, I'm gonna do the exact same thing here. So what's nice is if you're working with someone now is to check in. And I've been kind of focused on what I'm doing. And I know, Richie, you're kind of doing your thing. So where are you at right now? How are you doing?
Just last little touch-ups in the back corner here, and the bottom, top.
Cool.
Just about there, huh?
Having that good communication. So pretty much we're getting into the wrap is almost done, which I'm going to set the clock soon. But now we're not going to really show it in this video, but I guess let's talk about post-install. What would you do to finish this bumper properly that you'd be super happy, Richie?
Sorry, I was just grabbing this up a little. What was that?
What would you do to finish this wrap? Like, would you be happy, like our line would be like, you know, this is the wrap was finished properly and it's going to hold up for the long term? What's the
I think we haven't done any post-heating, so.
Okay.
I think I'm going to jump on that, if that's all right.
And what would be the post-heating temperature right now?
We want, in Celsius, we want to get right around 100 degrees.
Okay.
And centigrade, so what is that, you know, 180, 200. But I think before we do that, though, we want to do a little exploratory heating.
Okay.
You know, SLX Plus, any of our flight technology products, we want to make sure that there's no air left at all under the application, because it is such a low contact adhesive that you may not see. Like you could literally, like in this little depression right here, you could literally not see some air that's under there. So it's a good idea. Air expands, it's going to show itself very quickly. It's a really good idea to just, with light heat, I'm talking about maybe 60 degrees centigrade, something like that, you come over everything and make sure that you don't see any air expanding, any little bubbles start to happen. So that's the first thing. Okay. And then you start looking at areas like this, where you have a little bit of extra tension, and you're going to make sure that you post-heat that well. And just like what I just did right here, there was a little piece that wasn't quite installed perfectly. I hadn't hit it hard enough with my squeegee. The second I put heat on it, you saw it immediately. So it's a really kind of second check for the applicator.
So it's kind of like a 360 check over. So you always want to, you know, when you're wrapping, if you notice when I was talking, I did everything kind of in stages in a 360 motion. Richie was doing the same thing. And then when you kind of finish, especially, you want to hit it with that heat, get that adhesive flowing, double check for bubbles, and then you want to post heat. So that being said, I think for the most part, we're good. Richie's going under here. I think it's on, and then we enter the post-install phase, which is definitely something you don't want to watch because that's not part of the Never Stop Learning contest. I'm actually going to grab the clock and I'm going to hit stop, and whoever guessed the time of 26 minutes and 17 seconds. That's the time that it took to wrap this bumper. And again, cool print, nice and symmetrical, kind of goes around, nice good design, all that kind of stuff. Nice clean finish, it's going to stick for the long term, and again, great techniques. And again, having those yo-yo moments, having Richie on, was super awesome. And then we got that done. So again, this is SLX Plus for the Never Stop Learning contest. Again, I hope you picked up a lot of good tips and tricks, because if you get that good workflow, good prep, great install tips, and then good finishing, you got a really good bumper that holds on for long term. Because again, super curvy bumper, but it's going to hold.
Yeah,
nice
no problem at all.
Awesome stuff. So that being said, that's the time for the winner. But actually, Richie wants to show something that's really interesting about this film right now. So definitely tune in for this right now, because I think it's really interesting to know the adhesives.
All right. So earlier on, we talked about the adhesive being a matte finish. So what I'm going to do is just snap some of this up so you know this has been down at the longest, 20 minutes, and just start to lift this back corner a little bit. Should have left myself a little tab. All right. So you can hear already in just a very short amount of time how much the adhesive is wetted out. But the best way to show you, and Justin, do you have a piece of uninstalled vinyl there? That's really good.
This is a good example. Right. And again, this is what's interesting about the material today, is that again, it has that matte finish. So as we talked about earlier, if something has a matte finish, it means it has a low surface area.
Oh dear, got a little bit of clear coat with that, I think. Okay, so if you were to put one on top of the other, and just, it's going to be hard with the camera angle, but you can definitely see a difference in just 20 minutes of the adhesive starting to get a bit of a shine to it. And give it an hour, you would really see it. And actually in 24 hours, definitely test this at home.
Sure.
It would literally be as glossy as the surface of the vehicle, because the adhesive wets out, takes on the shape, makes more contact, but almost immediately. So that was what, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And not even on an area that had a lot of heat, by the way. That was almost unheated, and you can see it starting to happen. If we were to pull this back a little further, actually, do you mind just real quick, just really quickly, yeah. So somewhere that had a lot more heat.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I can see it in the camera angle here, where this side's definitely shinier than this side. This kind of absorbs the light.
Yep.
And again, it's just knowing your adhesives. It's really important.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and again, that happens over 24 hours. But again, this SLX Plus is made for kind of colder weather temperatures. It sticks and holds this position. But at the same time, after 24 hours, it really locks on, which is super cool. Awesome stuff.
Sure does.
Super cool. So Richie, thank you for being part of the contest. Awesome
Thanks,
stuff.
Justin. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Awesome.